Here we go, and welcome to another episode. The next guest I got on is someone that I met many years ago, but he is so young. And I met him through our connection, through being sponsored through Lund Boats years ago. I think the first time I met him in person was at the Winnipeg Sports Show. So it was actually a really good time. And I got to see him when he first got into it. So I know that, where he came from, where he is today, very genuine individual and a fantastic person as well. So I'm going to bring him right on because he's going to speak for himself. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Jeff Gustafson, come on up, buddy.
Thanks, Andy. How are you doing?
Not as good as Dave Mercer, I might have to say, but I do my part.
We're doing fine, no, Mercer's tough to beat. He's and you watch him on video, it does no justice for how good he is at doing his job and announcing and his big voice. And we're lucky to, that I feel really grateful that he's part of the Elite Series and makes it, that much more sort of special for me, for sure.
Well, dude, he was there a few times. He came up to Winnipeg before your career, before he got involved, and so you had the opportunity to meet him. Back in the day when we were all with London.
Yeah.
He used to come up to the Winnipeg Boat Show, and
my first seminar I ever did was at the Winnipeg Boat Show. I don't know how old I was, like probably 18 or 19, maybe 20. This is like, pushing 15, 20 years ago, like a while ago, but it was with Mercer and Bob Mahoney from Shimano, said, Mercer, you're bringing Gussy up with you. And I think it was on one of your tanks probably at that time. And so you have it set up where you could, he was on one end of it and I was on one end of it. And I got to put my 2 cents in a little bit. And I learned right away not to pick on Dave or chirp him because he's ruthless and he's quick and you're never going to win that one. So
you remember, because that was the show when I started doing the panels. Do you remember I started creating the panels and I had Dave do the MC? Were you part of that panel too? I think you were.
Yeah, I remember doing a bunch of them, but
guy, you remember that? It became
he made another guide up there cry, I think.
It became a war on the stage. Like I was like, oh my God, right? And it's like Mercer just has this tendency to just get everybody pumped and wound up, and he's just he's great for what he does, man. Honestly, like I can tell you, he was born with that talent, just incredible, right? And I'll never forget that. That was probably the most entertaining panel that I've ever seen in my days of all the stuff we've done, so, but I remember you on one side of the tank, and then I think you did one with Gord too that year, if I remember correctly.
I did some with Mercer and with Gord, kind of, and that was my start to it. And then, when your show started, I started coming down to Toronto, and it was just hey, I did all I could to not have to get a real job. So it was any of those kind of gigs, then, that you made a few bucks doing. It was awesome. And, kept me from having to do the Monday to Friday thing. And that's still where I'm at today. just catch enough bass to keep doing what I'm doing. And I do some guiding and some writing and just avoid having to get a boss and a real job.
It's funny you say that, but I think so we had Bob Azumi on as well. And I don't know if you had a chance to see that yet, but you can just go back and watch it. And it's funny that you say that now, and I can't wait to interview you 10, 20 years from now, because I think you actually have a harder job right now, because you're performing. It starts hey, you might be your own boss here, but it starts, you want to do well, and in doing well, people don't realize there's a lot of work in that. Your days on the water, pre-fishing, you're out there, whether it's bad weather, good weather, your breakdowns are happening, and you have to endure that while you're out there, and it becomes an actual job what you're doing, and you'll start thinking, hey, you know what? Maybe I should have went and sat down at a desk with air conditioning.
Well, you know what? Honestly, the weather and all that, the getting up early, I honestly, I guess it's just from fishing, and I get excited to go fishing every day. But like, I can't sleep past like 5 or 5:30 in the morning. I wake up. I could go to bed at midnight, and that's just when I wake up, and I can't go back to sleep. Like, I got a problem probably, but that's just the mode I'm in right now. The tough part is you know, you I'm a regular guy. I mean, I need all the sponsor help. It's hugely important to me. I would not be doing what I'm doing without it. But there's a lot of obligations to keep everybody happy, and it's a lot of work. It's to try and come up with social media content every day or every other day. I mean, it's a lot of work to keep up. But again, I'm not complaining. Everything's going good. But there's more to the, then it's just, he just gets to go fishing every day. Yeah. And I love the weeks of our tournaments and the pre-fishing days. I get to fish from dark to dark, and I can kind of cut out all the, I don't check my email. I'll answer a call, but like, I don't go on my phone all day when I'm out there fishing, and I don't have to, but then when the tournaments are over, then it's catch up for a couple days,
Would you say the driving's probably like the worst part of your job? Like just because like you still live in Canada, right? And so I guess like doing the back-to-back tournaments are good for you because you're not driving back and forth. But you have like a rule of thumb, like, okay, so if the tournament's more than 3 weeks apart, I'm going home, or
generally. Yeah, like this is my 10th year now. I did 6 years on the FLW tour. This is number 4 on the Elite Series. And normally I would, if 2 weeks off, I'm going to leave my rig somewhere, fly back to Winnipeg and go. But like, obviously the last couple of years, it's not that Canada does not make it that easy to come home. And so, and just, travel, I'm not real pumped to fly. So we've been driving, but my wife Shelby got out of work for a few months, and we're just living it up down here. And the way our schedule has been going, we've been fish a week, off a week, fish a week, off a week. And so we wouldn't really go home anyways, but we're staying down here till later in March, and then we'll go home for a little stint. But yeah, we've been having a rough, tough winter up north around Lake of the Woods, and I feel bad for everybody.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in sunny Florida right now. We've stayed at a friend's place this week, just south of the Harris Chain, but we're overlooking a little lake. I was a little late getting on this with Andy, just so everyone knows. Shelby and I just walked down to the dock. And there's a 7-pounder on a bed next to the dock. So she's going to go try and catch it here in a little bit. And if she does, it'll be her biggest bass she's ever got.
I just want to talk about Shelby for a second because I guess we met her at the Bassmasters Classic when we were down at what was it called? The golf place? Well,
Top Golf,
where we had such a good time that night.
That was my first Top Golf experience ever, and it was it's one of my favorite things to do now. I'm not a great golfer, but I think anybody can go and get a few lucky shots in at that place. But yeah, what a great time.
Well, what I was gonna say is I love your wife, dude. She is such a sweetheart, man. And you guys know when you come here, you can bring her here. The same way you got a home there, you got a home in Toronto, dude. I'm telling you right now. You know what I mean? So. And even if there's a bunch of little Gussies kicking around down the road, they're all welcome. So,
well, hopefully we're going to see you in November for the ice fishing show. That's the plan. And
well, I don't know. I have to revisit that now. I have to kind of revisit that decision because, like, you're not really a nice guy anymore. No, I'm joking around.
Well, hey, I am going home at the end of March, and I've got a group of guys from Northland Tackle in Minnesota. They're coming up, and we're going on an ice fishing adventure for like 3 or 4 days. We're actually going north of Kenora. Like, I live pretty far north, but we're actually going up to Red Lake, to area that we moose hunt every year. And I've never ice fished up there, but a friend of mine owns a resort that we're going to stay at, and it's just sounds like it's the best fishing in the world, and untouched ice fishing, giant pike and walleyes, some lake trout. It's going to be a blast. So I do love to ice fish, but I don't get to. I'm not doing as much as I used to. But
yeah, I'm just joking around with you. But you know what? You got to send us pictures of that because that'll be some great picture shots that we can use. But like, dude, I've known you that long, and you were hardcore when I met you that 20 years ago. Well, it wasn't 20 years. I don't think it was that long ago. Well, maybe it was 15 for sure.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a
But
while.
you didn't just it wasn't just like they picked a kid out of the audience and said, "Hey, get on up there with Dave Mercer and do a show." Obviously, you had things going on before that. So like, when did you start? Like, when was the beginning to you? Like, I know you guided. Did you guide before that, or was it after the guiding came?
No, I mean, I was really got after it young. I mean, I fished the KBI for the first time. I was 10 years old. That's our big, our big Lake of the Woods tournament. First guide trip at 14. I was lucky. Like, my family had a cabin on Lake of the Woods, and that's where we'd spend a lot of the summer. And so I had access to the lake. I could go fishing when I wanted. I had a little 14-foot Lund with a 25 horse, and that's what I fished out of till I was, into my teenage years. But there was a couple of resorts out around where our cabin was, and I'd go and bug the owner, and I knew where to fish. I knew my way around the lake, even at that age. And he made me, I'd go do camp work, and one day another guide didn't show up, so I'd show up early and be ready in case this day ever happened, and it did finally. And I got to, and I like, at that age, I was a geeky little skinny kid, and I think the camp owner was Ash Rapids Camp, Roger Clinton, and he went down to the dock and told these guys from Kentucky, "This is going to be your guide today." And I think they looked at him like, "Are you freaking kidding? Come on." And it was just like, I'm sure other people have used this line too, but he just said, if you don't catch any fish, I won't charge you. And we went, and I took them to like my best spots, and we caught plenty of fish, and it was all good. But when I was same deal, like 16 or 17, Shimano, Brad Harlos, the Central Canada rep at the time, he was fishing some of the bass tournaments, knew who I was, and started helping me out. He gave me a couple rods and reels, and then Shimano's been a long time supporter. But I would write letters to all the tackle companies, and look for look for anything. And Rapala early on was a pretty big supporter. Tom McMurray over there,
great guy.
Northland Tackle, John Peterson. I mean, probably helped me more than anybody, individually in my career, from a sponsor standpoint, and is a great friend. And then Lund in the mid 2000s, Lund started to help me out, and they're, my biggest supporter, biggest sponsor. So yeah, I've been really lucky. It's tough now for a lot of the younger guys coming in to get, because we all need support, we all need sponsors. It's tougher. I was lucky at a young age and just sort of got relationships going with some of these companies, and it's turned into long running relationships with a lot of them. But at the end of the day, though, it's if you want to make a career in this industry, whether you want to be a tournament guy or a guide or a promoter, I mean, you got to catch fish. Like, I mean, obviously, like, the social media stuff's important. Any of that, all that stuff's important. But like, if you can't catch fish, you're not gonna make it. So you got to fish that's what I tell a lot of I get asked about that quite often, and fish every chance you get if you want to get better, and don't just go to like places that you can catch them. Like, I very seldom, when I'm at home, I very, very seldom go to places that I know I can catch fish off of. I will, like, obviously in a tournament situation, but when I go, I'm constantly trying new techniques, new baits, and looking for new places and off the wall places to catch fish. And that's what you kind of got to do now. The electronics and mapping and everything is so good now, just about everywhere you fish, that the obvious stuff isn't usually that great.
Certain things you said, just want to touch base on you real quick, because like, a few years back, there was a time where manufacturers just kind of felt like we need more a salesman, as someone who can speak, than we need the angler. And I'm not singling anybody out by saying that. At that point, it was just more looking for that salesman. And then the thing was, I think, not that I think, but I do know, is like that all of a sudden, they start realizing that, and it wasn't they realized, but the people listening in on those seminars, you start seeing, because we run all the seminars, and we start seeing the less people sitting down and this and that and everything else. And you start wondering, is it because, they're not celebrities, or is it because what is it? And we found that, I think what it is anglers need that not confidence, but need to know that what you're saying is happening. And the thing is you are proving that at the highest level through the tournament scene, and accomplishing wins, showing what you're doing, and also what you're doing. It is catching fish. At the end of the day, it's about catching fish that gives you the credibility through an average person to make you who you are. So you really need, in today's world, just because you think, hey, you're pretty good at video taking and you can do some special effects things, you really need to prove yourself, because people really want to they really want to know, they want to learn from people that are actually real. You know what I mean? So, dude, you're doing a great job. I'm not going to sit there and blow smoke up anybody's, but you're amazing. So I remember the night at Elephant Castle. You know what I mean? Like we've go back pretty far, and
quite a few nights. Yeah,
quite a few nights. We've had some really good times. I know why you got the nickname. So at the end of the day, it's like, well, if a kid wanted to get into, like, I know you're saying, hey, do this, do this, do this, but like, did you ever do like volunteer work? Does that benefit a person coming into it?
Anything. I mean, it's like, the reality is, a lot of it is, if you to get the sponsorships and just to catch breaks. I mean, I had help from a friend in Minnesota to sort of start coming down here to fish. That it was a friend, just a guy that I guided, took fishing and hunting a few times, and he, had the means to kind of get me going and help me out with some entry fees. But just catching those breaks, and a lot of it, just like anything in life, who can just really help you out sometimes. So you just always be nice to everybody, and you just never know who might be there to have your back down the road at some point. So that's a big part of it for me. And then, I love to be on the water and explore, and that's a big part of it for me. My biggest turnoff at the fishing industry now is just there are a lot of people that are good at running a camera, and editing and putting a video together, that have a huge following, and maybe not the most credibility from a fishing standpoint. So, but it is what it is. It's, I don't let that bother me. I just kind of do what I can, and try to stay busy all the time, and avoid, like I said earlier, having to get a real Monday to Friday job.
You ever think, like, going back to when you were guiding with some of these people, like, you ever think that they watch or hear about you where you're fishing and think, hey, that's that kid that used to guide us on the lakes up there?
I mean, I'm sure I've had a few people come up to me, like, at some of our events, that they'll come up to me and hey, Gussy, and like, I recognize them, but I don't know who they are necessarily, and then they'll say, oh yeah, you took me fishing at Campfire Island on Rainy Lake, in 2001, and like, oh yeah, okay. And I do get a little bit of that, so it's kind of funny when that happens. But
then you still have your show? Do you still run your show in Winnipeg? You still have your TV show?
No, I haven't done that for quite a few years. That was with a local TV station in Kenora, and then Shaw shut it down. So it just kind of went away, and it's expensive to do that stuff, and it didn't get the vibe that a lot of my sponsors wanted to put their money in that direction, especially with just the impact that YouTube and social media have now. So it's all good. I mean, that's a lot of work too. At some point, maybe when I get done with the tournament fishing, which that's my number one kind of focus and passion. That's a road that maybe I'll end up going down at some point. But for right now, I'm not. But I'm in front of a camera probably just as much as I was then, whether it's hosting, shows for Sunset Country or, obviously lots of people come fishing in the Lake of the Woods area. And then also just doing different things for sponsors. I'm still getting in front of the camera, so I'm comfortable there and you just trying to stay relevant,
Yeah. No, dude, listen, I just remember that because you had your show back then. I actually remembered. So this goes to show you how involved you have been. You've never not been involved. So you do guiding still? Like, are you still guiding occasionally?
Yeah.
Or yeah,
I do a little bit. I probably did, between 12 and 15 days last year. So
it's not too bad.
I'm not doing like 4 or 5 day blocks in a row, but yeah, when I'm home, if I have a few days, a lot of the trips are with friends and people that I've taken, all the time. And then every once in a while, I'll just get a message from somebody and ask if I can go on this certain day. And if it's clear, then I'll try and go. So, yeah, I like to do it. But I like to fish tournaments a lot more. So, that takes a lot of takes up a lot of my time and focus, and that's what I love to do. But I definitely do some guiding still when I can.
So are you still fishing the KBI? Like, is that still on your?
Oh yeah.
It doesn't conflict with your scheduling down in the States.
I've only got to fish it like twice in the last 6 years, so it has been a conflict. But this year I got to fish it last year, and then this year the schedule's looking good, and the plan is to fish it for sure.
And have you ever won the KBI?
I've won it a couple times, but it's been a while. I actually won it when in 1999 or 2000. I was 17 years old, and that was a big help for my career. I got some sponsor opportunities fall after that, and then won it again in 2008 with Chris Savage, one of my good buddies that I grew up with. And we're still fishing it together to this day.
Wow. It's a great event. The whole community gets behind it. People don't realize it. And, just because we're in different parts of Ontario, you think, all the same, but it's really not. Like when you get like Fort Francis and you get KBI up there, like those people up there really, 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 I guess they appreciate the amount of money that comes in with these tournaments and support. And you guys are seeing it also through the elites, where all these, what happens leading up to the event and what happens after the event. How many people how many people you think go fish your spots after you catch that smallmouth spot, where you won that turn? Like, how many guys you think are hitting that spot nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, they just announced next year that's where the Classic's going to be. So I want to be in that tournament. But obviously, like, one thing I've learned fishing down here, like up north and at home, a lot of a good spot's usually pretty good year after year, unless it just gets to me, too many people kind of get onto it maybe. And but for the most part, down on these reservoirs, like every year is completely different. Like you never catch fish in the same places usually. So I'm expecting something, to be different. But I did learn that the way that I like to fish is productive at that place. So I want to definitely be in that tournament. But I got really lucky there last year as far as not that much. Nobody really was fishing. A lot of the local guys were out there watching and spectating, and that was awesome because not everywhere we go, like we go to lots of places where they would just, I'd pull up there in the morning and there'd be 4 boats fishing my spot already. Like they just wouldn't care. And I'm very, very grateful that, all the guys that live around Fort Loudon and Tellico and Knoxville let me have my few days there.
I've always said, like, running tournaments, I've always said that, every community hole, and I really believe this, every single community hole at one time was somebody's secret spot. Is that true? Is that not true?
Yeah, absolutely.
And when I talk to Corey, I talk to Chris, and I'm talking to you, right? It's like, you take yourself out of your equation where you are right now, bring yourself back up here where you're fishing those tournaments. And how pissed would it have made you knowing you get to your spot and there's three guys there? And now it's like, it's just part of your life. You got people following, like you're in your boat and there's people literally following you around the lake with their boats. And it's part of the game, right? It's all part of the game, right? And you don't
Well,
let
and
anything bother
yeah,
you.
it is. And that's where in a tournament, if you go into a tournament relying on like a couple of spots, it's never going to work out for you. You're never going to win usually. I mean, you have to have a bit of a program figured out where you can kind of go around and call your shots. And I mean, we just fished this week on the Harris chain, and I had a tough tournament, but I caught enough to make the cut. I got to fish day 3 yesterday, and squeaked into the money, so that's a win. But it was a grinder for me. And I mean, I had some places I knew where some fish were at, but there was just it's a hot body of water right now. There's a lot of big fish in it, so there's just a lot of people here fishing and outside of our tournament going on. So you might find the best spots on the lake, but you don't always get to fish them in the tournament, and you got to be able to, not let it bother you, and then be able to adjust. And like that's that's, I know, everyone, a lot of people watching this are going to be, fishing against Chris and Corey and are fans of Chris and Corey. And, they're amazing at, like, a lot of the lakes that you guys have your tournaments on. You could put them in one corner of the lake and say, you have to stay here. And they would still beat everybody because they would go to that corner and figure out, where the biggest fish are. And figure out how to catch them and do it quickly. And that's what, it's not really, their program isn't necessarily about like spots and it's just going out and being efficient and figuring out how to get it done.
I think I think what you said is very true. Like, because like, when you think about it, you talk to people, and, oh, I caught a 5-pounder off my dock, or I've caught this off the point there. And you think about that and you think, every dock at one time or another has a big fish, right? And it makes you wonder, like, could it be the only big fish in that spot? And then these are spots that you'd never even consider fishing during a tournament. But it's true. Like, the thing is a lot of times, and I said this, I even talked to Cooper about this actually a couple of days back, and I said, it's dissecting things and thinking and staying cool during the event. So like, everything you said makes sense. You got people around you, all these things change daily. You don't know where you're going to come up to. And even the weather, like from your 2-3 days of pre-fishing to the day of the actual tournament, could be a completely different front to come in. So you need to maintain your cool. You need to be able to think and basically tear things apart to know fast enough how to react to the situation and win, right? Which I think you did an amazing job, a few times, right? So,
well, it's but yeah, it's just, if you want to be good at fishing, you got to go fishing a lot every chance you can, and not just on the nice days and not just on the easy places. You gotta, that's how you learn. You get better by going and trying new things and constantly learning.
And staying positive. And I'll
stay positive. Yep.
Stay positive, dude. I do want to thank you for coming on, because like, and I'm looking forward to the ice fishing show, because like, I'm looking forward to seeing it's different, right? It's just a different thing for us. And we're actually pretty excited. We're building a tank for them. I don't know if I told you, but we're actually building a tank for it. We want to thank our friends at Raffle for getting involved with
cool.
that. Like, yes, we've got a tank. It's going to be on a trailer. We're actually building a platform on top that's going to look like ice. And you don't have to go on top of it, but there are holes that you can actually show jigging and show lures. And with me, it's always been about, bringing that presentation and getting people to know stuff, right? And it'll look just like a floating piece of ice on top of a tank, and you never know,
I
you might be
like
the
it.
first guy to catch a fish there. But and even we're working. I got an engineer right now working on building a trout pond. We're actually going to build a pond that a pond. Well, we always have our kids fishing at the show, but we're actually trying to build a pond with a surface on it that we're going to paint white that'll look like ice, and they'll be able to ice fish. So kind of a different thing, and we really want to promote ice fishing because you look at it, what's happening. It's amazing, even though you're away right now. We won't take that away from you, but I don't blame you, dude. I would be I would looking around in your atmosphere. I would be down there in a heartbeat, and I'm sure Vita would be too. But and you never know, we might see you in a couple of weeks. So that's all I can tell you. But
yeah,
dude,
bring it down. Everyone can, we can. It's getting a little easier to travel, but yeah, the Bassmaster Classic's going on here in a couple weeks in South Carolina, and yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm excited. That's next for me. We're heading north tomorrow. Going to go to Lake Lanier for a couple days in Georgia. It's one of my favorite lakes in the U.S. Really good big spotted bass, and it's a couple hours from Hartwell. Fish is sort of similar, so I'm going to get a warm up in there for a few days, and then this coming Friday, we start practice for the classic. So it's coming in hot, and
are you excited for that? How you
yeah,
feel? You feel good about that? Are you pumped about it?
I do. I've had a couple. I've been to Hartwell several times. The last couple times, I've had some good events there, and it's going to be cool. It's sort of winter still in that part of the country, so I'm going to be able to get out deeper water, use my Humminbird gear, and hopefully find some big ones. But I'm going to be able to fish the way I want, and it's got some deeper, clear water. I love fishing in Florida, but I don't love tournament fishing in Florida. So I've been down here for a few weeks. Not an awesome start to the season, but we didn't bomb any, our two events. So I, came out of here not horrible in the points race, and we're on to going to start heading our way north here now. So it's good. Should be good for me.
We are still contemplating coming down. We don't yet. Let's see what happens at the border. If the border allows us to come in and out, then we're definitely going to be there. We had such a good time. I wonder if there's a golf place there.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Yeah,
we'll
find one.
So we'll find one. Yeah. So we might see you at the classic. It's really people that have never been there and or have never been to a classic. I highly recommend it. It is something we strive for to one day hopefully see that dream here, and hopefully we can be the people to bring it to you. But it is so amazing. The show that you guys do, like the show that takes place there, and all the new product that's there. There's the energy. It's just like you can go to ICAST, and I'm not going to sit there and tell you ICAST is an amazing show. All the product in the world's there, but I can tell you right now, the energy, just the energy. It's constantly like if you know Dave Mercer and you see him on stage and you see the energy that he produces during a weigh-in, you don't even have a clue until you go to the classic to see what that guy does. It's absolutely psychotic, right? I remember I got video of you going up to the scale last time we were there and driving in the arena and all that stuff. But
yeah,
energy just goes through the whole event. It's like the whole event has that energy where you're walking around and you're seeing guys, and we were at the Geiger Tech booth and it was like 30 of us in there taking a Team Canada picture from all the guys that came down. It was amazing. I'm getting pumped right now. Honestly, I'm really thinking we're gonna
come. Yeah, I hope you guys do, and let me know. It's quite the spectacle, and I mean, if you love bass fishing, it's pretty impressive that the event that Bassmaster puts on, and yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm very grateful that I'm fishing in it, and it's hard to do. That's the goal for me this season, is to make sure I'm fishing in it again next year, and just win I just got to go win this one on Hartwell next week, and that'll get me in for next year, and then I can just have fun and relax all this season. The pressure will be off.
Well, dude, I'm hoping that's going to be the case, and I'm hoping we're going to see it. Well, I'm hoping we'll be there to see it, but I hope you do really well at the classic this year, dude. I really, really hope you do well at the classic, and
yeah, I'm gonna definitely go and have fun, and there's a lot of events and distractions, during the week, but I just try to enjoy it all, take it all in, and you never know when you're not going to get to do it again. So I'm going to enjoy it, and and just give her while I got my 8 hours each day on the water, and hopefully I'll catch a few breaks here and there, and it'll go good.
Hey, this is a real quick note, just because going back to that, did you ever sign the banana? Did you ever sign? Do you remember? He never signed. Victoria and Nicole, I think, because you were fishing, so you weren't around. But so it was like it became a joke. I don't know where they got this banana from, but they got a banana. Nicole, not you. You had nothing to do with Victoria. So Nicole didn't steal it. She took a banana in the morning. You know that? Are you superstitious? Are you superstitious?
Well, a little bit. There's no bananas are going in my boat for sure. So,
so Nicole took this banana, right, and she was going around to all the guys, like Martin, everybody, and she was getting them to sign this banana. Right? So it was
that's
like
awesome.
A joke, right? And there was guys that literally stepped back, and then when they figured out that what Nicole was doing with this banana, getting guys to autograph this banana. I actually seen guys that we know personally literally at the aisles kind of turned because they didn't want to touch the banana. It was so funny.
Well, I had an email this morning from TH Marine, and they had a few questions. They're just putting some social media content together for next week, and they asked if you could throw a banana in one angler's boat before the classic, who would it be? So my answer was definitely Corey Johnston.
Why did I think that word's gonna come out? That is hilarious.
and we're good buddies, obviously. But yeah, I think both of us, any chance we have to take a shot at the other, we're taking it. And he's had a killer last couple seasons, and a win is definitely coming for him, but hopefully it'll be in a couple more years.
One last job, right?
Yeah.
So, dude.
Okay, well, thanks for having me, bud.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, that's none other than the man. And I can't begin to tell you, we go back a long way, and it's great to see them grow up in this industry, and hopefully we can continue to see them for many more years to come. And I'll tell you, it's the energy around the Bassmasters Classic is absolutely incredible, and it makes you feel good because you got 3 incredible anglers are Canadian fishing it, and they're all in it, and they all got a chance at winning it. And then you got the MC, who's also Canadian, and he is phenomenal. If you watch his show, whatever Dave creates the energy. Dave does such a good job, and I applaud him for it. And his family, they're great. He's got a great family behind him, as they all do. Like Gussy's wife's an incredible person. So it's nice to see this. It's nice to know that these guys have that support, and I think that's why they do so well, because they have the support behind them. So I want to thank you for tuning in. We got many more guests ahead of us here. So, and even after the show's over, like even after this weekend, I know it's the Spring Fishing Show, and we're going to continue with this format of just talking to guys and just getting to know who they are. And I think that's important. I think that it's very, very important, especially in this whole world of social media. And not because social media is not a great form, but it is an incredible place to get information. Social media, whether it's YouTube or whatever that way is, it's a fantastic way, TikTok, of learning how to do things. But what we want to do is we want to learn about the guy. We want you to know who the guy is, because a lot of times nobody just comes on a show and says, hey, I'm this person and I do this and I do that, and this is where I come from, this is what I've done, this is why you should listen to me. It's not. We want to interview that guy, and we want, or girl, and we want them to be able to tell you what makes them tick, and then you can decide what whether or not that's the person you want to follow. And I know my daughter's saying, going, Dad, I can't believe you said that, but it's the truth, right? So anyways, I just want to say thank you for tuning in, and continue to tune in, because we got so many great people ahead of us. Stay tuned.
There we go. Woo! Oh, there you go. There you go. There you go. There you go.
Just like that, hunting for walleye. Oh, wow, dude. Yeah. Good way to start the morning.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's my life. It's my life. And I'm living like the whole wide world is an open road to drive. It's my life. It's my life.
There we go.
I'm in love. I'm a dream.
Oh, look at that fish. Oh, there he is. Nice jig in the middle, walleye right below the pontoon. There we go. Oh, it's the size of this beast. Unbelievable.
It's my life. And I'm living like the whole wide world is an open road to drive. It's my life.
Bam, it didn't even hit bottom. There we go. Doubled up. Nice. That's a good one.